take a look, folks. Now, this offer for $1 million that was previously, and nobody in the world that I'm aware of, and I have to believe, I'm pretty sure, nobody has ever offered a monetary reward backing their track record. Now, I don't have the evidence that I have the best investment forecasting and analysis track record in the world, but you know what I do have? I've got two things. Well, I've got a few things, but I'm not going to, brag, but I've got two things. I've got balls of fucking titanium, and I have a compelling track record of being right when I'm laying everything on the line. In other words, I don't think you're going to find many people in the world, probably nobody else, who, when they are so confident of something, they're willing to put it out there in print. They can't erase it. That's what I did with my calls in my research in the financial crisis. I didn't have to come out and say, hey, Fannie and Freddie are going to be bailed out by taxpayers. They're going to collapse. I didn't have to go to that extent. I didn't have to predict that the U.S. major banks would collapse and you should short them. I didn't have to do that. All I had to do was to come out and tell you that the subprime mortgage companies, the subprime loans, were going to collapse. Because you see, once again, for those of you out there who don't really know what the fuck is going on, don't remember, the subprimes were the junk bonds. They were the low credit rated bonds. They were the ones most vulnerable to collapse. You didn't need a whole hell of a lot to happen for them to collapse. In contrast, Fannie and Freddie, the GSEs, government-backed, investment grade. Nobody thought they could collapse except moi. You understand? That's balls of fucking titanium. Or maybe perhaps in a book that I wrote, Wall Street Investment Bible 2008, whereby I basically predict Blockbuster going bankrupt because they're fucking clueless on strategy. And I predict Netflix taking over, right? As well as other bankruptcies that I predicted in that book, so on and so forth. So if you can find someone out there, now you're going to always come across some fucking crackpot nutcases, especially these days with the internet. Somebody that's got some reasonable amount of credibility, right? Because anybody can just fucking blabber things, right? Someone with some sort of credibility that comes out with not only the calls that I make, but the accuracy rate. When I predict bankruptcies or severe collapses, I can tell you right now, I'm not so sure that my track record is below 100% on that particular area of expertise. I don't know that it's, as far as I can tell, it's 100%. It might be, I may have missed one here, and I'm talking about in the various research portals that I have done over the past about 7 years, securities analysis and trading webinars, where one of the things that we go over is distressed securities analysis. And I also went over that in some of the boot camps. So all the calls that I've made over the years, I don't know that I've missed any, actually, in terms of predicting bankruptcy and the company not going. So, but it's clearly close to 100%. Okay, now that's pretty fucking remarkable. And and really this discussion that I'm having here, really you can't appreciate unless you are a very experienced financial professional. And I'm not talking about some sales guy. I'm talking about somebody in the research side. Okay? The research side, buy side, only these types of people, or let's say executives there, very experienced, they're going to really appreciate what I'm saying here. Okay? That's fact. So given that, obviously, if I come out and I'm putting my ass on the line, it's probably not a good idea to take the other side of the bet. Okay? There's some people out there who have come out and said, you know what, this guy, don't bet against Stathis. That's the last thing you want to do. Right? So, in the past, I have offered $1 million. And I'm willing to do it again. Now, in this case, it would be, you get 2-to-1 odds. You put up $500,000, and if you win, you get $1 million. Nobody in history has done this stuff. And I'm talking about my track record. Now, in reality, thinking about it, I think it would take many years and probably $1 million just to have a body of professionals go through the nearly 2 decades of my research. And then you have to compare that to all that's out there. It's very difficult to prove that I've got the best track record. I'm sure that I do as a single individual, because not many analysts in the world even cover the things that I cover. They focus on one fucking thing, and even then they fuck up. Okay? I cover just about everything. Okay? I'm a broad-based qualitative analyst, and I'm damn fucking good. I'm the best in the world. But let's keep it simple here. I'm going to make it simple. So for the better part of 15 years, I came out and said, look, if you can find somebody, you don't have to be that person. If you can find anybody who, and you can prove, and this would be held to a third party that would go through and analyze this. You can prove someone has a verified, published track record on the 2008 financial crisis that's better than my verified, published track record. I will give you $50,000. Okay? That's been long-standing. I have had not a single entry ever. Okay? Now, what's important about that is now with AI, it gives people the ability to understand better, quicker, more efficiently what is out there in the universe with regards to those who have claimed to have predicted the financial crisis, the details, the verification, right? The specifics. Because the media is going to tell you a lot of things. AI is going to search for what's out on the internet. It's even going to search for fucking stupid areas like fucking Reddit and reviews, book reviews. It's just stupid shit like that. This is why you have to understand how to use AI, or you're just going to, and you also have to understand kind of the answer already. You have to know the truth already. Otherwise, you can't challenge the AI assistant sufficiently. You can't accept what it's saying. You have to understand. AI is actually good for somebody like me, right? A world-class analyst who wants to use it to cut down on the time that I would be researching. I can quickly find things I already know the answer to, and I already know what's going on. So for me, it can be a good tool if I decide to use it. But for most people, it's very dangerous, I think. And what I'm going to show you here, I'm going to give you an example because, and I'll get back to the $1 million here shortly, but we're going to go over and I'm going to show you live what you have to do. In my case, let's say, to have a AI assistant analyze my track record, well, you can't just ask about me. There's virtually nothing out there on me. They're going to go by the people who had the most media coverage. See, this addresses, of course, once again, the impact of being banned by the media. Okay, so I have to actually input excerpts from my book, and even I'll do articles as well that have been verified and timestamped because they've been published elsewhere on the financial crisis, and you're going to see it live. Okay, and you're going to see how you challenge it. Now, I'm not going to go through Grok. Grok is Grok is, you have to challenge it a lot. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. I've kind of since changed my mind a little bit. I've used Chat GPT a little bit more now. And, each of these AI assistants have their pros and cons. And I'm sure, even what I say today is not going to hold because these guys are still to a large degree beta testing, right? They're and actually these AI bots or whatever you want to call them, they're always going to be changing, right? It's a continuous process of evolution with these things, right? But so we're going to go over that here shortly. So what I'm going to do, and you can see I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to hold this now for the first time to my financial crisis track record. Anybody in the world, okay, it doesn't take any expertise. Now with AI, you're able on your own to go through and find out who has the best track record on the 2008 financial crisis. The only caveat to that is that if you're going to include me in the mix, which you have to, or you're fucking stupid, you're deficient. If you're going to do that, the only way you can do that is that you have to enter the excerpts from my books. Now, first and foremost, that's actually not legal to do unless you have the authorization. Okay? But there are the links. There are the links, although you're not able to do that, but you can go ahead and do it as long as you don't misuse it and try and alter it, right? In other words, you can't feed it into the AI machine and try and manipulate the AI analysis to try and discredit me. You have to do it honestly, or you're going to have some legal problems. I can assure you that. But you can do that. You can go ahead and enter the excerpts in AI, and you can compare it to all the guys out there who have been credited of predicting the 2008 financial crisis. And if you want to, you can go through all the analysis and you can be convinced if you want to, okay? You put up $500,000 in escrow. And we can talk about those details if you're serious later on. And there'll be some rules and regulations and so forth about in terms of, because escrow, for those of you who don't know, that's a legal situation whereby you've got the money held in a law firm to be released based upon certain criteria. Okay, and that's going to be tied to a independent body of experts, of qualified experts, who are to be determined by me and paid for by you, who have no ties to either parties, either of us at all. Okay, they're going to determine who's right and who's wrong. Okay, so you can win $1 million. Now, okay, you don't have $1 million, you can go in for less. Go in for less. Okay. The only thing is that I'm not going to do a 2-for-1 unless it's 500,000 you're going to put in. 100,000, 50,000. I'm not going to waste my time on you if it's less than 50. Okay. Not going to do it. Okay. One entry at a time. So I'm waiting, folks. I'm waiting. Now, why did I even raise this reward? I started out, 2009 or 10 at 10 grand, kept increasing it. Nobody was responding. Because I want to prove to the world that I've been banned and blackballed, and I want to prove to the world, hey, I've got the fucking goods. I've got the fucking beef. I've got the track record. And I'm willing to back it with fucking money. Put up or shut the fuck up. You got it? And I've proven all these years, and I may go on a fucking mission until the day I fucking die to keep going over this same thing, to emphatically show, because this is just opening Pandora's box. Once you understand what's happened to me, my credibility, my expertise, and why I was banned. And it's a combination. It's a combination of racial discrimination by the media mafia that only promotes their own. Folks, turn on the fucking tube. Take a look at everybody on the tube. Aside from the occasional minority. Okay? It's a privilege, and it's not fucking white privilege. take a look on everything. Everything relevant is controlled by the same group of people. This is nothing that's new. It's been going on for a long time. It's just that if you don't realize it, it's because you haven't had your eyes open. I didn't realize it 20 years ago. I was fucking clueless. I was in a situation whereby I went to an Ivy League university. I kid you not. I'm not even joking. Let me tell you a little story here. When I was at University of Pennsylvania, I remember my early days, and just first few days I'm walking around campus, and I saw these individuals, fellow students there, and I was like, what are they wearing? They were wearing, there's like they had these fucking things on their head. Like these little caps, like that stuck to the back of their head. And I didn't know what it was. Like, what is that? It's like, what is this kind of, I didn't really think much about it. I was like, this is kind of weird. What is it, I didn't know that those were yarmulkes. Okay? So, the point is, I didn't know about, there's a very large population of Jewish students at the University of Pennsylvania faculty. And it's the same with the Ivies. I've talked about that in other broadcasts. Why? There's a very large population, and this comes into play now. You see what's been going on with Harvard and Columbia and these other Ivies in terms of the political the protests on campus, and and look, these universities, you can take a look at who the administrators, the officials are. And look, they're just trying to do their jobs, and many of them are Jewish, and they're saying, look, we don't care about this. We want our students to have the right to protest. Okay, we're they're probably thinking like we're Jewish, but they can protest against what Israel's doing. We don't. This is not our. So they're responsible officials. They're doing what they should be doing. Okay. But then, of course, you've got people like Bill Ackman who want to get those officials fired. And no one's criticizing this. Think about this. No one in the media is saying, hey, wait a second, Mr. Ackman, what are you doing here? You're using your money, your clout, which you really don't have any business getting involved in this. You're going to a university, an institution of higher learning, and you're trying to use your clout as a Zionist to somehow stifle freedom of speech in these institutions of higher learning, to promote your political agendas, right? You don't hear anyone in the media. Why don't you hear that? Have you ever wondered about that? Well, because Bill Ackman, who do you think is running the media? His friends. You understand what I'm saying? Has anyone ever thought about that? Bill Ackman's not getting criticized. He's actually causing problems. And as I mentioned before, he actually was so stupid. Bill Ackman's a fucking idiot, by the way. And you tell him I fucking said so. You tell him, the guy that you were panting and panicking on the phone in 2008, asking him what the name of my book was so he could get the research because he didn't have a fucking clue. You tell him who the fuck I am. Okay? You can clip this shit and fucking tell him. Or you can call up his number. Call up Pershing Square. Okay? I got the number in my fucking Rolodex somewhere. And I've got the emails to prove it, by the way. Okay? But you can tell this guy's a fucking idiot. Why? Well, I'm not even going to talk about how ignorant, how naive he was to try and short Herbalife, thinking he's going to make money because it's a pyramid scheme, it's an MLM, not understanding that whole industry is protected because they've got a lot of political clout. Okay, he's fucking naive. That's just as naive. Maybe not as naive as Kyle Bass thinking he's going to take on the whole pharmaceutical industry. Oh, the patents are not valid. They're like all of a sudden this guy comes around with no fucking expertise. He hires some fucking doctor who's related to him, by the way. Capiche? some clown, some patent fucking troll. You can look into that. I've covered that. But Ackman is naive as well because he actually exposed what him and his buddies always do. Except they do it behind the scenes. They normally don't come out and say, hey, we're going to go after you guys because you are criticizing, you're protesting the military activities of Israel against Palestine. You're protesting the genocide. We're going to come after you. We're going to make sure you don't get a job. Can you imagine that? Can you believe he's bullying students? And of course, the way that you cover that, right? You cover your ass. You all know how you cover your ass if you're on Ackman's side of the fence. You all know by now, right? The MO. Oh well, it's they're threatening Jewish students. They're anti-Semites. They're causing a hostile environment for Jewish. We must protect them. We must protect them. You understand, right? The typical fucking song and dance. Kind of like, Trump and Netanyahu claiming that Israel's going to do this and they're going to do that and we got to destroy them. We got to attack them because they're going to do this. They've just proven to the world by doing nothing except sitting there and getting attacked for no reason that they need nuclear warheads. This is the shocking thing. It's amazing to me. I mean, Iran should have nuclear warheads. It's been proven now. Why should Israel have nuclear warheads and Iran can't? Why is that? Why is Israel the only country in that region to have nuclear warheads? Of course, they still don't admit that they do. You all know that, right? They still won't admit it. If there's any evidence, any better evidence to prove that Iran should have nuclear warheads, it's based upon what you're seeing right now. If Iran had nuclear warheads, they would not be getting attacked like this. Right? Anyway, not going to talk about that. So, we're going to go through, going to give you an example. I'm going to do a live analysis here. You're going to see what I'm doing. It's not going to be complete, okay? But everything here is public. Now, there are excerpts that I have provided to Grok in the past. I haven't done this with ChatGPT yet because I've only started to use it. Excerpts that are not public that I've used for my book, specifically on healthcare and trade and the wealth and income disparity. Okay? Just because those are, the healthcare I could actually just publish that chapter. There's one chapter mainly on healthcare. I could do that, but the wealth and income disparity, and especially the trade policy material, is scattered throughout the book. Wealth and income disparity, I think, is for the most part in one chapter, but it's not a full chapter on its own. But all this stuff is related. It's all comprehensive. It's all connected. I'm the first and only person in the world, write this down, the first and only person in the world to have connected free trade with America's wealth and income disparity, right, with the access to health care, as well as many other things. I connected everything. And you're going to see, if you go through the Grok analysis, and I'm going to continue I'll be using ChatGPT more because I've gone through Grok enough. But as you'll see, for one Grok analysis, I think it's going to be released on the 27th of June. I actually go through and I do an analysis and I ask Grok to compare my just my research from America's Financial Apocalypse, right? And I go through different categories to compare me, my stance, where I stand among the world's leading healthcare experts, based upon the material that I wrote in that book 20 years ago. Not even including the full book that I wrote on healthcare in 2009 or any other things that I've done. I've also included, a section on comparing me with the world's leading experts on trade policy, on economic analysis, on the wealth and income disparity. And guess what? I am right up there with the best, if not the best. That's right, from that one book. Okay? Tell me I should not be highlighted. I'm still banned by the media. You guys need to contact people. You guys need to write stuff. You need to post this shit online. It's all factual, and I'm going to show you now. And anybody out there, folks, if anyone out there now, because we've got AI and we've got the excerpts, there's sufficient excerpts from my books, from my material, to show that I'm the leading expert on the 2008 financial crisis. And if I'm the leading expert on that, which I am, I don't even need to be the leading expert, simply for the fact that I predicted it. Don't you think I've got a shitload of credibility? Yeah, I do. But I'm the top guy. So think about that. So what do you think that says about my abilities today? I was fairly new in the industry back then. I'm a lot better today. And my track record continues to show that. We're going to do a chat GPT analysis. And just one last thing before I begin. You go to anybody, okay, and you tell them if they're not talking about me, if they don't want to interview me, the top guy, then they're a fraud or an idiot and they have no credibility. Think about it. This is what I was telling all you fucking Yahoo knuckleheads when I came online 3 years ago to expose these fucking fake gurus. And I showed how they're always talking about Michael Burry, right? Because the media talks about Michael Burry. So the YouTube, Michael Burry. And I was making fun of the guy. Because he's not in my fucking league. You all know that, right? You don't know that. These guys aren't in my fucking league. Now, in this analysis, not only did I go through previously and ask Grok to analyze not just the talking head, the guys that are blabbering in the media. Those are the last people you want to listen to. They're the marketing fucking experts. Their expertise is marketing, blabbering, convincing you, perception. Real analysts, top guys aren't in the fucking media every day. Okay? That's fact. Con artists are. But I've also included what's thought to be world-class economists. Okay? And in fact, on the issues, and you'll see this if you check out the Grok analysis on June 27th that we published, for the wealth and income disparity, that particular topic, that's very academic. And of course, I wrote about that before it was obvious. 5 years before all the economists came out. Think about that foresight it takes to understand that. But my analysis was as good, if not better than, in fact, if you include the comprehensiveness, it's better than, there's two guys on that list, two economists that have Nobel Prizes, better than theirs. Better than Paul Krugman, easily, that guy's a clown, it's a fucking joke, and Joseph Stiglitz, which is really probably the only credible economist that I'm aware of out there. I'm sure there's others. Okay, but in terms of this stuff. So, and by the way, let me just mention, I've talked about this before. I was banned because I'm not Jewish. If this gets taken down for me saying this, then you know what's going on. I can't say this. I can't disclose me being discriminated against. I'm not allowed to do that. I have extensive evidence showing that. Okay? And I mentioned that, now it's not the only reason why. I think primarily the reason why was because I exposed too much. But I mentioned that you can expose things, but if you are Jewish, you get coverage. You get a lot of coverage. You just don't get the full Monty. Joseph Stiglitz he's been critical of globalization. He hasn't gotten the exposure on that topic that he should have. But he's gotten plenty of exposure. Okay? You understand? I could go on. There's a long list of this. I've observed a lot of things. Folks, when you've been shut out, when your career has been completely decimated and destroyed, and you have been completely eliminated from presence on Earth in terms of an analyst, what you're doing, your work has been not just undermined and diminished, but completely just wiped off the face of the earth. They've tried to wipe me off the face of the history books. Okay? And that's a goddamn human fucking travesty. This needs to be told. And you're going to see this because, people say, well, because people don't know enough about the financial crisis. They don't know. But now you're going to see an analysis. You're going to see AI analyze everything. Okay? Let's go ahead and take a look now. So we're going to go through ChatGPT. We're going to start out very simple. Now, I'm not going to be on this list. Okay? This is going to be kind of the, the guys that, that are written about the most and so forth and got all the media exposure and, Michael Burry, Peter Schiff. And if you do different queries of this, even using the same AI assistant, you're going to get sometimes different entries. Okay, so you can see, I think this is using my history. Shit. I didn't want to do that. So it's using my history here. If you do your own analysis, it's not going to show me. So in other words, you can see on the side here, it's using memory from these entries. You're not going to see me normally. Okay? So how do I know that? Because I did this previously and I wasn't on this list. Now I'm on the list. Take a look. Most detailed. Published prediction. No mainstream recognition. What are you talking about? This is using the previous queries, which sucks. It's unfortunate. I could delete these, but I don't want to do that because I've spent time going through them. If I deleted these, and you can try it yourself, just go through and type in who predicted, and you're going to have probably everybody on here except for me. And then what you do is you say, well, what about Mike Stathis? And then it will acknowledge that I did predict it, but it won't have as much specifics. That's when you enter in the links. Okay? You can see this chart here. Once again, unfortunately, it's going through memory from the previous queries. But you can see here all these individuals, right? And you'll notice I'm the only person that satisfies all these criteria, right? And these criteria they're kind of weak because it doesn't specifically talk about, well, the person talk about a financial collapse. So what's the specifics? I specifically advise people to short the banks, not just the subprimes, Fannie and Freddie as well. Okay? Nobody in the world did that. Nobody. Okay? So, but nonetheless, you can see, and and you have to really understand what's going on here. For instance, Peter Schiff was one of the most vocal, although many of his inflation predictions post-crisis did not materialize. Most vocal, yeah, because he was provided with media exposure. What do you mean most vocal? He got fucking promoted. Fucking con man.
The whole idea is to get out of the U.S. dollar, to get out of a currency that is on the verge of collapse. Because the people who don't get out, that just think they're playing it safe, that don't want to take any risk, so they keep their money in the dollar, they are going to be broke. They're going to be completely broke, and that is obvious. It's obvious to me that that's what's going to happen. And this is pure inflation, Latin American style. This is hyperinflation. This is Zimbabwe. This is the identical monetary policy. This is what the Weimar Republic did, and we're going to have the same result. And I am 100% convinced that anybody who has their wealth in U.S. dollars will be just as broke as the people who have their money with Madoff. It's not going to matter. It is going to be destroyed. And I don't know how much time you have. With the dollar dropping 5% a week at this point? I don't know. Could the dollar snap back a little bit? Sure, of course. But what if it keeps falling? What if it's down 5% next week and 5% the week after that? And then what if it drops 10% and another 10%? Who knows? At some point, a year or two from now, the dollar could be dropping 5% a day. The inflation rate in Zimbabwe is over 100 million% per year. I can't even calculate what that is. But you know what? It didn't start off that bad. The dollar is now sinking on its own weight, and it's going to drop like a stone. And, there's not a lot of time.
But anyway, so let's take a look here. So you see here, this is let's ask more specifically. Compare the specifics of okay. Let's see what it has here. You see that? Great question, because specificity, and of course I'm quite familiar with the term specificity since I have a pretty good background in chemistry. Specificity is where Mike Stathis truly stands apart. Not from most of the others, from all the others, you dumb fuck. So you see, this is the problem. When you start to challenge these AI bots, you can sit here and kind of get lost in the shuffle. You're challenging them on subtle things like this, which I'm going to challenge it on. Let me copy that. I'm going to ask it, okay, most, so who are the others, right? You can just read this. And you can see very few detailed. No, nobody else. I'm going to challenge it, right? We're not even going to go further. See, this is what I'm saying, folks. I'm going to go further than that. Let's go ahead and read what they have to say here. And you can see. There you go. Take a look. Timing of prediction. Mike Stathis, early, mid-2000 books. Michael Burry, 2005, 2006, private. You see, didn't disclose anything. Guess what? I can make all types of things private. And if it comes true, I can show the world. I'm a genius. If it doesn't, I don't have to show anybody anything. You understand? Okay. You could just read all this. I haven't seen this table before, actually. So you could just read all this here. Why Mike Stathis was overlooked. Let's see what it has to say. He was not affiliated with a major institution. That's not true. That's not the reason why. I mean, no. Folks, if I was affiliated with a major institution, and by the way, if I was, do you think I would actually be able to publish the things that I did? No. He was banned from major media networks, as he claimed, especially after criticizing Wall Street's conflict of interest. His books were self-published and contrarian. Yeah, self-published because I was banned by publishers. I was forced, and it wasn't self-published. Self-publishing is a specific term. I actually publish my books as a publisher. Self-published means you're going through someone else, actually. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Self-published and contrarian. I wouldn't say I was contrarian. I was realistic. See, a contrarian is somebody who's always have a contrarian bias, and that's why they're not credible, and not amplified by mainstream press or elite financial circles. His forecasts were too damning and detailed, calling out not just banks but also media, regulators, and government. Now that's closer to the truth here. You see that? I didn't even ask why I was overlooked. This is what GPT put there. Okay? You see that? They don't want you to know what the fuck's going on. Okay? So let's input, because I'm not so sure that it has all this stuff, but let's give it some more information here. So let's give it these three excerpts from archive.org, from my books and see what it has to say. There you go. So you see that? So I'm asking it to take a look at these excerpts on archive.org, to look at the specifics, and to tell me, what did I predict, and what happened? How accurate was I? You can read this for yourself here. Nobody in the world, folks, recommended in a book to short subprimes. But once again, to me, that was the easy call. I went much further. Nobody else in the world even thought about the banks. They didn't. Do you think Michael Burry and Kyle Bass and John Paulson and Steve Eisman thought that there was going to be a financial crisis? No, they did not. They just thought there was going to be the typical, maybe a little bit larger real estate blowout, because real estate booms and busts are normal, and those always lead to a recession. So they thought we were going to get a typical real estate blowout from the bubble, leading to a typical recession. They didn't realize this would be a huge financial crisis. I wrote about this stuff. This is what people don't understand. This is why there's nobody remotely close to me on the financial crisis. This is a fucking human tragedy what's happened to me. And it's a human tragedy because I've been banned. You guys got to let the fucking media and everybody know this. Call them out. 20 fucking years. Are you kidding me? Okay. Accuracy. Spot on. Boom. Okay. Buy gold and silver. Predicted gold. Mixed. Rates never reached 8%. Okay. I mean, that doesn't really matter. That's economic. That doesn't really matter. What matters is did you make the fucking money? Right? Macro call forewarning mess. So it doesn't list here. Grok listed. I actually nailed the number of foreclosures. Not that really matters that much, but I nailed my estimate for the foreclosures. 10 to 12 million was accurate. There were almost 11 million. And in fact, I was probably spot on the higher end of 12 million because the government, as some of you might remember, the U.S. government actually, through programs, prevented several foreclosures. They had many programs out there to do that. See, so this is not even really mixed. This is not a good analysis because the main forecast was 6,500 Dow, and then I talked about over the next several years, 1450, this range. That doesn't matter because I came out with an article. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Grok does a better job of this because I actually come out with several articles on my website in 2008 and 2009. I think two articles, one 2008, two in 2008, reiterating my 6,500 bottom in the Dow. And then in March of 2009, I actually recommend to buy at the exact bottom for the first time ever. In other words, yeah, if you're telling people 50 times to buy, right? Month after month, week after week, you're not really nailing the bottom, are you? But for the first time, you're coming out for the very first time and telling people they should buy. They should expect to go lower. That's the way it goes. You can't think, okay, this is the bottom, you need to buy here. It doesn't work that way. Your human psychology, you need to understand. If you have a good reason to think that there's a high chance of a bottom, let's say, or you're near one, you got to start buying. Because chances are it's going to go lower, right? The question is how close to you are to that bottom. So you have to buy when you think there's a good chance it can go lower. It's just that you have to realize when most of the downside is already in, you see. Anyway, you can just read this here, this summary. Stathis delivered an exceptionally specific and accurate view of the crisis, named sectors and firms to short, predicted timing and mechanics, MBS bailouts, offered portfolio recommendations across bonds, metals, equities, consumers. Folks, nobody fucking did this. Nobody fucking did any of this. Go read all the fucking books pre-crisis out there. Nobody it was all just bullshit. Broken clock. Oh, buy gold. Everything's going to collapse. Buy gold. Okay? Oh, we got too much debt. Stupid nonsense. Nobody comes close to me. So, take a look, folks. Let's take a look now. I'm going to show you. I'm not satisfied with some of these answers because they're not accurate, by the way. So these are some articles from my site, 2008, 2009, I think. Folks, I mean, does anyone out there understand that? First of all, the 2008 financial crisis was one of the most significant events in world history. You all understand that, right? One of the most. I would say, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to go through but it would have to be, top, I don't know, in the top 500 of world history. I have to believe that, right? I think that's a fair assessment. Right? And it's probably pretty conservative. In terms of U.S. history, it's probably top 20, maybe even top 10, right? And in terms of economic events, it has to be one of the most significant economic events in world history. You all understand that, right? I would say top 10, right? And in terms of U.S. history, it has to be, you could say, right there, 1 and 2 with the Depression. Right? Everybody understand that? So think about the magnitude of this event. So when you have that event and you have somebody, first of all, who truly predicted it, didn't predict it just because the media says so. Look at the evidence. Why did they predict it? Show me their published account. And when they published it, what did they say and then what happened? When you look at that and you analyze it, then you realize I'm the only person in the world who truly predicted the 2008 financial crisis. That's fact. And I'll debate anybody in the world for money. Put your money where your fucking mouth is or shut up. Okay? If you're not willing to come to me with money, then don't come to me. Don't waste my time. And if you don't have high-level credibility in the financial industry, don't waste my time. Okay? Because I'm not here to hear stupid, ignorant people who have confirmation bias and want to try and discount what I've done because they don't like my political views or they don't like the fact that I've called out the mafia. You see, because that's what happens. Or in some cases, like this nutcase incel in Las Vegas, they don't like the fact that they requested a discount on my research and I didn't give it to them after them praising how great the research was, and then they lie about me and make up shit because they're mentally ill and pissed off because they thought they were going to become one of the first YouTube gurus 10 years ago, violating my copyright and trade secret to pretend like they're an analyst using my material. Fucking loser. Okay? That's why I say, folks, you get a neutral party. Nobody, folks, address it. Nobody can fucking discount it. Nobody can say, there's nobody, okay? Nobody can refute the claim that I'm the number one expert on the 2008 financial crisis and I was banned. Okay? If you think you can refute that, put your money where your mouth is. Let's fucking go. Boom, motherfucking boom. I'm ready to take your goddamn money. Okay? You understand, folks? People can say what they want. Just because they say something doesn't mean it's true. There's a lot of stupid people out there, right? But let's see if they're willing to say the same thing if money's on the line. Some of them will be because they're fucking that stupid. But most people won't. You see, folks, this is what we're talking about, the lack of accountability these days on the internet. There's no accountability. People can just do whatever they want to fucking do. Why do you think all these fake gurus lie about everything? They lie about how much money they have, how much money they make, this and that, because nothing happens to them. So why not lie? They figure. Just like the FTX whores. Nothing happened to them. So take a look. So we put these articles in. Let's see what it has to say. There you go. See that? Since 2010. These are quotes. Now, you notice that they assert, these articles assert he predicted. This is kind of strange because the Chat GPT already saw the excerpts from my book. So clearly it was done. There you take a look there, folks. Boom, motherfucking boom. So think about it for a second. You can go through this table and read it for yourself. Think about it for a second. You've got one of the most significant events in world history. One of the most significant economic events in world history. Right? And arguably the top one or two most significant economic events in the past 100 years. Right? And you've got a person who not only predicted things in amazing detail, but the comprehensiveness is off the fucking charts. Unbelievable. When you think about how I didn't just focus on the real estate bubble and the subprimes and the banks and the financials. I exposed everything. The entire American tragedy. The healthcare crisis, the pension crisis, Wall Street fraud, wealth and income disparity, free trade, the trade issue, and I linked everything. This is why the book is still relevant. We have not escaped. You know, the financial crisis is of a shorter term issue, although the impact, we're still feeling the effects of it. That's fact, by the way. I mean, that statement alone, I mean, why don't people interview me to find out the details about that, how I can discuss that? Folks, you're not getting experts. You're getting fucking agenda, biased bullshit. That's what you're getting. So, think about this, the impact, the significance of this event, the 2008 financial crisis. Push aside for a second all the specifics that I predicted in those two books. Think about, I actually nailed the bottom, where the market would go, the stock market, in advance. I mean, I can claim to be a crystal ball. When you take a look at the specifics, nobody in world history has ever done that. Not only did I nail it, I told people to start buying at that bottom on that day. Now, if I had gotten 1/100th of the media exposure that con artist Peter Schiff got, the whole world could have made a fortune. Instead, what you had Peter Schiff telling everybody the market's going lower, stay out of the market, buy gold, buy foreign currencies, buy foreign stocks, because that's what he sells. You understand? Folks, even today, no one's come out with this critical analysis of the media and Schiff and many others. They don't want you to know this stuff. They're all fucking scamming you. They're deceiving you. Deceit, lies, disinformation, cherry picking. Take a look. So you can see here, AVA's endorsement adds strong institutional credibility. 1 million. So that's why I did it. Come after me, motherfucker. Let's go. Let's go. You got it? Nobody in the world's going to back their... This is, you understand, this is legal. You understand. You can take me to court on this. You think I'm a fucking dummy? You think I don't know? Folks, when you're in a position like me, over the years, the things that I've been involved in, you learn a lot about the law, legal things, okay? That's why nobody but me is going to come out and offer this money. Because they know they can be sued if they fail to deliver. And they know that they're frauds. They're full of shit. I'm the real fucking deal. Boom, motherfucking boom! Okay. Take a look. Stathis not only forecast the housing and financial implosion with granular detail, but also executed active investment signals, shorting financials and then buying at the precise bottom. Boom, motherfucking boom. Nobody comes close to me. Anybody who says I didn't predict the financial crisis is not credible at all. They're lying and they're not credible. And when you show them this material, they have to conclude that I predicted it with the most accuracy of anybody. Nobody comes close to me. And guess what? Anyone that claims that there's someone out there who predicted it with more accuracy, detail, and comprehensiveness than me, guess what? They can make $1 million. If they don't think so, why don't they fucking enter in to win $1 million? Or we'll lower it. How much? We'll lower it to meet your budget, bitch. Okay. So, let me see here. Let's try it again here. I want to make sure. I don't want to be in the memory, and I don't want to erase this. I'm going to try it one more time here. Yeah, so it's already in the memory. I wasn't on here before, so so this is one that I did previously. You can take a look at the final judgment here. So this is the final conclusion. Mike Stathis ranks #1 for his detailed, early, and comprehensive prediction of the 2008 financial crisis and his rare combination. His rare combination, read that carefully. His rare combination of accuracy, investment insight, and public transparency. Think about that. He outperformed all other forecasters in scope, precision, and utility to the public. And history should recognize that. Think about that. This is saying history I need to be recorded in history. I'm banned. Okay? Now, we can go through this analysis to see how you have to input stuff. So I'll just go through and quickly show you. So this is what I wanted to do. I want to show, who predicted the financial crisis. You're going to see the typical numbskulls. Okay, Michael Burry didn't predict it. he made a bet on it. He didn't come out, have a written thesis, and show the public in advance. That's not predicting it. It's making a bet. Predicting means you are forecasting something in advance, and you're showing the world. Okay? Rubini didn't predict it. He made a speech and just warned. He's a constant doom and gloom guy. Oh, like he's been doing every fucking year since 2008. Okay? Think about it. His nickname's Dr. Doom. What's that mean? It means it's impossible for him to fucking forecast anything because he's a broken motherfucking clock. But he gets promoted because he's got the right fucking last name, right? And he's also in the establishment. NYU. Okay? NYU. Right? You got it? Meredith Whitney, I've already shown this. All she said in her October 2007 CIBC report, remember, she was a financial analyst. She was prime and positioned to come out with this forecast, sell all the banks. There's going to be a collapse. No, she didn't do that. Report said that Citigroup has a higher loss rate from their loans than forecast. Therefore, they're going to have to either raise capital or they're going to cut their dividend. It's that simple. That's all she said. I mean, folks, do you understand that banks all the time are missing their forecasts for losses, loan losses? It happens all the time, especially when you get into a period of economic weakness. Okay? It's typical, not a big deal. Right? Yet, for that's a simpleton little fucking conclusion. For that, right? And once again, this is a year after I wrote my book. She gets credited with predicting the financial crisis. And I already went through and showed in the past how she's one of the biggest losers out there. Complete failure. You know, she gets promoted by 60 Minutes to flood out her little municipal default fucking bullshit, which was completely wrong. Right? And now, after hiding, she had a hedge fund. She tried to do it, failed. Right? Credit rating agency, regulators realized she's a fucking clown. We're not going to do that. They're not going to give her a credit rating agency. They weren't going to approve that because she's a fucking clown. But she's got the right last name. Right? As does her husband, the wrestler. She hid for about 8-10 years in shame. She comes back recently. Now she's trying to sell her research to the retail fucking idiots. So she's promoted with all her in the media, right? She's in the masterclass scam. Total fucking scammer. You tell her I fucking said so. Complete fucking liar and scam artist, Meredith Whitney. And you got Peter Shit. I mean, this is a guy who, folks, I got the number on this guy. I've been exposing him for 15 fucking years. Complete clown, didn't predict jack shit. Okay? I'm still waiting for hyperinflation, right? But of course, he's got the right last name, so he gets promoted. Robert Schuller didn't predict shit either. Okay? You know, it's funny. Just go through it. If you don't believe me, you can take a look. Eisman didn't predict shit. None of these guys predicted anything. So notice I write here, please define prediction. Right? I define it as an advanced, detailed thesis which was accurate. And the response from ChatGPT, that's a strong and useful definition. Here's a structured breakdown. So you can see ChatGPT provides the criteria for the prediction. 3 essential criteria. Advanced. The claim must be made before the event occurs. Detailed. The claim must include specific mechanisms, causes, or outcomes, not vague warnings. Accurate. The outcome must substantially match what was described. Okay? Then it gives a standard definition of prediction. Okay. So, from this definition, we're going to now see who predicted it. So, only Burry and Eisman predicted it based upon that definition. I mean, that definition is not stringent. It's just normal, right? Okay? But these are fund managers. They didn't predict it. They didn't come out in advance. And they didn't have a thesis. Remember, these are guys who only bet on junk bonds. Junk bonds default at a much higher rate when there's an economic weakness. You don't need to have a financial crisis to make money betting against junk bonds. All you need is a recession. You got it? Boom, motherfucking boom. Why didn't they bet against the banks? Why didn't they bet against the home builders, as I recommended in my book, Cashing Into the Real Estate Bubble? Why didn't they bet against Fannie and Freddie? Because they didn't know things were going to be so severe, which is why they didn't write about it. Nobody in the world, and you can check out the links on archive.org, check out Chapter 10, Cash on America's Financial Apocalypse, 2006. Read that real estate bubble chapter. Nobody fucking comes close to that. Nobody. I was banned. Why? Because I'm not related to the mafia. Number one. Number two, because I exposed too many inconvenient realities. Okay? This is fact. Think about it. Today, more so than ever, I've been proven as an amazing investment analyst, the best in the world, I think it's fair to say, and I'm still banned. Why is that? Why is that? This is what needs to be talked about. Nobody's talking about that. Why? Because they're all frauds out there, folks. Anyone who's not talking about this, you bring it up to them. They're not talking about it, and they're not going to. Why? It's not a popular topic because I'm exposing the whole fucking system, and they can't make money if I expose everything. You understand? Ad-based content, they're all fucking frauds out there. All of them. Remember who you're listening to. I probably know about this. The guy who truly predicted the 2008 financial crisis, one of the most significant economic events in world history, one of the most severe, one of the least predictable, and I predicted it. Remember, I'm also banned because I implicated Wall Street in fraud and the credit rating agencies in fraud, which is why the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission cut ties with me after they came to me wanting to know. They came to me to interview me. They didn't get the answer that they wanted. Okay. So this just shows Michael Burry's the evidence. They're showing letters to investors. Well, that's private. That's and take a look. All this is he's highlighting risk in the mortgages. The interest only mortgages, the cash out refinancing. That's all subprimes. That's it. Folks, a lot of people knew about this. This was not anything that extraordinary. Okay? You're talking about a different level. You're talking about a different universe when you are speaking of somebody who highlights the riskiness in the real estate market because of subprime mortgages. I put the fucking data in my book. I listed it all there. Okay, you're talking about somebody on a different level, a different universe when they raise the ante, not just the subprimes. They say, look, this is going to create a financial crisis. Remember, my book is called America's Financial Apocalypse. I talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac collapsing and having to be bailed out by the government, by taxpayers. I specifically wrote that, and that's what happened. So you're talking about a different universe here. You all understand that? I wrote about the massive exposure, the derivatives exposure that's linked to the mortgage-backed securities market, which is going to cause the banks to fucking collapse. We're talking about somebody. This is why you have to really understand what fucking happened. And most of you out there don't know because your knowledge of the financial crisis is based upon some fucking fictional Hollywood movie. Fucking stupid garbage. Anybody in the world, bring me the money. Let's back your fucking mouth with money and let's fucking go. Nobody's going to come to the table, folks. Nobody. I'm the big swinging fucking dick. I've got the highest credibility. Anything I fucking say needs to be taken as fact, as true, until proven otherwise. That's the credibility that I have. That's the credibility that I've earned. Don't ever doubt anything that I fucking say, because I'm one sharp motherfucker. And if you doubt anything that I say, knowing about my track record and my credibility, then you're fucking stupid. It's that simple. You're fucking dumb. If you think something that I say is not true, go back to the fucking drawing board and do a little digging. Maybe a lot of digging. Okay? I'm not saying I'm always going to be right, but what I'm saying is chances are, right, you're better off to assume that I'm right until I've been proven otherwise. Because I'm not going to be proven otherwise by some fucking chump, some nobody. Okay? You understand? It's not going to happen. We're talking about two different planes here, two different levels. Expert, layman. You understand? Expert, layman. I'm not talking to other experts right now. The audience is layman. You understand? If I'm in a situation where there are other experts, people who may not necessarily be as good as me, but they have credibility, they're experienced, that's a different story. Right? Those people, they can challenge me and be credible. They're experts. Okay. Right? But if you're ignorant, if you're a fucking dummy, don't waste my time. You understand? Like, if I'm to entertain the stupidity, the cognitive bias of every single fucking idiot out there who's been brainwashed by Joe Rogan and that circle jerk of fucking idiots and all the others out there, how far do you think I'm going to get in a discussion? That's why I say, understand who the fuck you're listening to. Zip your fucking mouth and take notes. You don't agree? Go do some learning. You understand? That's how it works in the normal world. So, Michael Burry didn't come out. He didn't come out in public. Okay? He kept his shit private. He made a bet. All he talked about was the subprimes. That's it. Nothing else. There you go. Okay? And then, so I asked ChatGPT to show the direct evidence of Eisman's written predictions. Okay. So this is interesting. So Eisman, in 2017, retrospective. So that's weird. That's, I don't know. That's 2017, dude. But anyway. Remember, the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission reached out to me, and once I told them why the crisis occurred and the implications of that, they cut off all ties with me. They didn't hear the answer that they wanted to hear. Okay? And one of those, one of the things was fraud. They didn't want to hear fraud. You understand? It was all about people telling them, oh, there were oversights. There were mistakes. Because they didn't want any evidence or a reason to go after Wall Street, to investigate Wall Street for fraud. It was a kangaroo court, as I've talked about before. So, I mean, this is Steve Eisman's FDIC evidence for. Look at this quote. This creates insatiable demand for yield. Teaser rate subprime. That's it. I mean, read my fucking book. Are you fucking kidding me? And then because Michael Lewis, because Eisman was written in Michael Lewis's book, that's evidence that he predicted the. I mean, folks, this is the stupidity we're talking about here. Okay. No, sorry, it's not. It was a bet. It was a bet because it was a bet because he made a fucking bet. He didn't come out with an analysis. No, he did not. Sorry. But anyway, I'm just putting that out there. The problem is that you have to re-challenge all this and you get nowhere. So at some point, this is why I want to keep all these queries, because at some point I will go back and I will challenge ChatGPT for each of these individuals even more so. So we can just go. I'm not going to go through all this. It's too long. I'm just going to kind of get down to the bottom. So take a look. So even ChatGPT, remember I told you, well, October 2007. So here's Meredith Whitney. So this is how stupid ChatGPT is. This is why I say, folks, you got to understand what's going on. ChatGPT even cites that analyst report that I talked about, because she downgraded Citigroup to market underperform and issued a stark warning. And the stark warning is, folks, you can take a look. It's online. I told you what the stark warning was, and you can see in the title: "Is Citi's dividend safe?" Is the dividend safe? Is that a stark warning? Is the dividend safe? Is the bank going to fucking collapse? I mean, come on. Once again, Meredith Whitney just basically said the dividend would need to be cut to account for unforeseen losses, or they'd have to raise more capital. That's the evidence that she predicted the financial crisis? No, she didn't. Okay. Now, notice this is February 21st, 2008. Okay, after she's no longer working at CIBC, after things are already looking pretty fucking bad, right? So anything in 2008 doesn't even count, by the way. See, this is where you have to have high-level expertise to know this, right? But anyway, what did she say? The best case downside scenario is a 15% downside in the financials. Worst case, 50% in the financials. So, I mean, sorry, Meredith. By that time, I'd already written a year and a half earlier to short the financials, right? So that's it. Anything after 2008 or after 2007 doesn't qualify, by the way. Okay? Doesn't qualify. So this is wrong. So anyway, Schiller, nothing. Here's a quote from his, let's see. By the way, notice they're showing second edition 2005. His book was 2000. His original book, it's the same book basically, 2005. But they want to show you that because to make it look like he was closer. No, wrong. Okay, look. Here's the groundbreaking quote. Right, if there's one quote that shows that he predicted the financial crisis, here's what they include. Home price speculation is more entrenched. No basis in fundamentals or precedent in real estate history. Okay, so what? That's it? Joke. Okay, paper. Mid-2003. During a housing bubble, home buyers think a home they normally consider too expensive is acceptable because they expect significant further pricing. I mean, really? You all understand what I'm talking about now, folks? Okay? You got it? Nobel Prize winning Schiller? Yeah, okay. He's got the right last name. That's why he's got the Nobel Prize. I should have won a fucking Nobel Prize for my goddamn book. That's fact. Wall Street Journal. Okay. August 2006. Okay. Schiller writes that housing market faced, quote, significant risk of a very bad period. I mean, are you fucking... What the fuck? So let's take a step back. Let's take a step back and think about this for a second. You've got a PhD economist. He's supposed to be amazing. He's amazing. Okay? So this is a guy that focuses on this stuff, and he also, he comes out with the Case-Shiller Index. He's got all the data. So what does he write in the Wall Street Journal? Right? In August 2006. Does he come out and say, I think that housing could come down by 30%, 35%? No. He's a spineless coward bitch. I think it's a very bad period. Very bad period. With slow sales and slim commissions and falling prices. Rising defaults and foreclosure. This is nothing. This is fucking nothing. What a fucking joke. Okay? Remember, folks, put it all into perspective. Read my Chapter 10, America's Financial Apocalypse, freely available. In fact, it's in the description here. In the Chapter 12, Cashing In the Real Estate Bubble, to get a good perspective on how much of a joke this is for these guys to have been credited of predicting the financial crisis. It's fraud is what it is. Anyway, it's not true. It's all a joke. I will go back at some point and re-challenge each of these. I just didn't want to. I wanted to get to a conclusion, right? And so, let's take a look at me. You can see. I mean, this is the extent. They're actually going through and reading an Amazon review. I mean, what is this fucking joke? I mean, what is that? I mean, okay, so this is why it's artificial intelligence. Artificial, right? Do you know who the reviewer was? Right? No, you don't know anything. So you can read here, how my stuff compared to others. Most experts warned 2005, 2006 for being Stathis published mid-2006, on par, timing-wise. Detailed. This claim suggests Stathis diagnosed fraud, derivatives, GSE risk, real estate, leverage, stock market outlook, and even post-crisis opportunities. So you can see here, limitations and verifiable evidence. Few public excerpts. Yeah, I was banned. I'm banned. If you're banned, you have no ability to get any type of third-party review or anything like that. That's what the media does. They do that on purpose so that you don't exist. You're not credible. Anyone can always, oh, well, we don't trust you. Thank God I got the books. Time-stamped ISBNs. You can't take that away from me. Boom, motherfucking boom. And based upon that shit, nobody can ever fucking question legitimately anything I ever fucking say related to economics, investments, finance. Okay? At least they can't do it and say, oh, you're wrong or this and that. You can say, well, I'm not quite sure about that. You understand? I've shown I'm high level, world class, number one motherfucker. Anything I say related to economics, investing, finance should be assumed to be true until proven otherwise. Proven otherwise. You got to prove. I have earned that. You understand? The default is I'm right. If you don't agree with that, then you're just fucking stupid. That's what you do. That's how you treat world-class experts. You don't pretend that you know more than they do. You don't impose your ideas that you got off of nutcases and crackpots, right, onto experts. That's how, this is how normal people, responsible people act in the normal world. See, so you can read all this here. This is not, okay, so we're continuing on. The following are verifiable excerpts published to archive.org. So we posted these excerpts, okay? So now it's got these exact excerpts from the book. You can read all this. So it didn't get this excerpt. We're adding this excerpt. Okay. It's having trouble reading the excerpt. So here we have some quotes. So this is what we're talking about. Imagine, for instance, if this is Robert Shiller. And Robert Shiller is predicting at least 30% of the $11 trillion in residential mortgage debt will correct downward, right? Leading to record foreclosures. Take a look. At its bottom, a 30 to 35% correction for the average home. And in hot spots, prices could plummet by 55 to 60%. Take a look. Okay? Take a look. Boom, motherfucking boom. Nobody in the world, folks. Nobody in the world. Nobody comes close to me on my 2008 financial crisis predictions. That's fact. Now, if anybody wants to say otherwise, put your money where your mouth is so I can take your fucking money. Okay? Put your money where your mouth is. You're just fucking stupid. You don't like it that I've called you out as a fraud and a scammer, or I'm criticizing, exposing your fucking cabal mafia guys. That's what you're doing. Put your money where your mouth is, or I'm not going to listen to you. You're not credible. You're just a piece of shit loser, an idiot. I'm the big swinging dick. Okay? I don't even need to mention I'm an Ivy League graduate. I mean, that's like small change relative to what I've done in my life. But for most people, that's like, they're so far away from that. Because you got a lot of stupid people out there that shoot their fucking mouth off. Stupid, poorly educated people. These are the same people who are scamming on YouTube, who are buying courses from YouTube scammers, who are listening to all these frauds, who think that they're the truth. They're the real deal. Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan and his circle jerk are fucking scammers. Right? Patrick Bet-David, Peter Schiff, Ron Paul. Okay? Stefan Molyneux, the whole fucking circle jerk. You got it? You know, the guys that get all the exposure so that you can't find anybody of real credibility because the algorithm is continuously flooding your fucking monitor, your screen with all these fucking guys. Robert Kiyosaki, right? You understand. I recommend read a short. Subprime lenders like Novastar. I actually give the specific fucking companies. And I show in the chapter 12. Fremont General. At a later time, Fannie and Freddie could get hit bad if a severe collapse, and I recommend shorting those as well, of course. We'll see a huge MBS junk bond market over time. He warned home builders like Toll Brothers and KB Home shorted, gained up to 95%. Actually, it's not true. Up to 100% because some of the subprimes I recommended went bankrupt. So, final assessment. Mike Stathis is not just comparable on a macroscope, quantified forecasting, and tactical specificity. His work stands toe-to-toe, not fucking toe. What are you talking about toe-to-toe? We'll get to this. With the best crisis predictors. He not only projected the housing collapse with statistical accuracy, but also explained its mechanics, timing, regional phasing, consumer effects, and investment plays. That ticks all three boxes of your definition of a true prediction. So, based on all the information, who do you think predicted the 2008 financial crisis with the most detail, accuracy, depth, comprehensiveness, and provided the most diverse range of actionable investment recommendations that were profitable? Okay, take a look. Boom, motherfucking boom. Mike Stathis. Okay, take a look. So here's the accuracy of my core predictions. The national housing decline was about 30%. My forecast, 30 to 35%. By the way, virtually nobody even dared pre-crisis to predict how much housing would go down. Think about that. Even Robert Schiller was too afraid. Well, we're going to see it come down. Okay, think about that for a second. You got one guy who's never been to business or economics school, never taken a single business or economics course. And I come out with research that's superior to well-tenured, established economic professors in academia, some of which are Nobel Prize winners. And this expands to my trade policy, my healthcare analysis, and my wealth and income disparity as well. Think about that for a second. What does that say? Obviously, I'm pretty fucking good. But it also says that you got a bunch of fucking lightweights in the business and economics and finance realm. Okay? That's what you got. They're lightweights. Okay, take a look. My foreclosure forecast, millions. It's not true. You can see from Grok, I specifically You can check in the books. You all have you've got the chapters right there, 10 to 12 million, and the actual amount was 10.7 million. This is not accurate actually. So, and I mentioned the GSEs would collapse. That's Fannie and Freddie, and I mentioned they would be they would be bailed out by taxpayers. That's what happened. Okay. Take a look. Predicted the asset-backed security, mortgage-backed security blow up and equity contagion. Exactly what happened. Boom, motherfucking boom. Folks, you understand that nobody else made this prediction. They thought it was a subprime real estate issue. Others thought it was we just had too much debt. No, it wasn't debt. Debt doesn't do it. And by the way, let me just mention something. I reached out to Mr. Stephen King again, and you all might want to visit his channel. You might want to read some responses. He seems to be more focused on selling people like access to his economics training. But it's funny. I'll get to it in a second, but just to give you guys some background on this is that I reached out to Stephen King, left a comment on his YouTube channel about 7 months ago, something like that. He responded. I think it was something like, he's a academic economist. I don't know a lot about him, but he's kind of I guess somewhat of a maverick. He doesn't go with the establishment, so he doesn't get as much traction as others, but he's gotten plenty of press, including, I believe, Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan. Think about that one. He thinks he's been banned. And I said, look, I think my comment was something like about not, I think his video was like, don't study economics or something. And I said something about how like, well, I never studied economics and it did pretty well for me. I predicted the financial crisis. And so I basically, we got an email exchange and I said, well, listen, I said, look, I've got an offer that I predicted the financial crisis with more accuracy and detail than anybody. And if you can prove that you beat me, I'll give you $50,000. He says, okay, I'll take you up on that. So, get back with him. He delays it. January delay. Tells me May. Oh, I'm busy. And the latest, so this is like the third or fourth delay. He's telling me now, like August. So what I suspect is that he's looked into it because I sent him a link on Grok, and he realizes like he can't come close because this stuff is all academic, no actionable. I mean, folks, if you're predicting the financial crisis, a true prediction, think about it. You have to say something about what's going to happen to the banks. You have to give some investment recommendations, or at least imply, right? You have to be specific. You have to say, okay, the banks are going to collapse to the extent that you can make money off that. Okay? So he doesn't come close. Okay? He doesn't come. So it's funny. I left a comment recently. He did a video. I should actually show it, but I'm not going to. He was showing Andrew Jick, how Andrew Jick's propaganda, and he was actually taking the time to debunk Andrew Jick's disinformation. I mean, and I'm thinking like, dude, why are you, you're an academic economist. Why are you debunking some FTX fraudster who doesn't even, like, he reads scripts that were written from his YouTube creator agency, and they got the scripts from like outsourcing, paying like people in India and the Philippines like, $2 an hour. Right? I said, I think your time can be better spent, kind of debating me on the financial crisis. Didn't get a response. You see, I think at this point, he nor anyone else they don't want to open up the Pandora's box, because once it's established that first and foremost, I predicted the financial crisis, right? So if that's the case, why am I not in any discussions? And then once we establish, because I'm willing to put money on it, I'm the leading predictor, and AI has already determined that, then it becomes an even more a bigger issue of why I'm continuing to be banned. And then we address what's going on about control. Who controls the discourse? You're not allowed. You're not allowed to influence or to be promoted, influence any policy or anything if you're not related. And that's a goddamn fact. Okay? Unless you are part of the business of these people. This, folks, I've been observing this for 20 fucking years. And I'm telling you right now. Okay? That's the reality. Nobody's going to ever discuss that. Nobody. Okay? So, take a look here. Depth and comprehensiveness. Now, I didn't even enter in all my other stuff. The wealth and income disparity stuff's not on here. This is just the chapters, the 3 excerpts that you all see on archive.org. I could have put a lot more there. But take a look. Housing market mechanics, ARM resets, no doc loans, lending standards, impact on GSEs, predicted Fannie Freddie would be bailed out, effect on consumer psychology. I talked about the wealth effect becoming the poor effect, credit markets, stock and bond markets, fiscal, banking policy, macro contagion mechanics. So this is far deeper than the, quote, housing is overvalued thesis presented by Schiller or Schiff. You see that? So you understand now how you have to know a lot of facts, and you have to kind of push these AI assistants with the facts. Once you do that, then they're going to come out with the truth. But if you don't know that in advance, then your analysis can be inaccurate or deceptive. That's why I say AI is really only a useful tool for people who are kind of experts in their field, to use it for their field, because they already know what's going on. If you're not an expert in the topic for which you are using AI, most likely you're going to be deceived because you're not going to know how to challenge it. You see, it's a perfect example. I previously criticized Schiller, right? I made fun of him, and you can see here, this is what ChatGPT basically says. Look, you know, he's basically saying that Schiller just called housing overvalued. It's far deeper. My analysis is far deeper. I was very specific on what would happen and accurate. Let's take a look. Take a look. So you see the inconsistencies, by the way, with ChatGPT. Earlier it said where is it? It said up to 95% gains. Here it's showing, what is it, 80 to 100%? Did I go past it? I think I did. Yeah, here you go. So 80 to 100% collapse. This is from my books, folks. Okay? And if you're an institutional investor, if you know this, all you got to do, because only institutional investors at that time could buy credit default swaps. Okay? All you got to do is buy credit default swaps, and you can leverage that and make 10, 15, 20 times gains. You see? But I didn't talk about that because you can't get access to those. You see? But institutional investors know what to do. Take a look. Boom, motherfucking boom. Boom, motherfucking boom. Advocated shorts, inverse strategies. Yeah, I don't know about inverse strategies, but returns up to 95% documented in his books. Okay? Unlike others, he gave ticker level guidance. Folks, who gives ticker level? I put specific motherfucking goddamn bitchin' tickers in the goddamn book. Boom, motherfucking boom. I can say that. I can curse because I'm the big swinging dick. I'm the fucking numero uno. Got it? I can act any way I fucking want. I can scream and yell and shout, and that's not going to take away from my credibility. You know why? I don't need to act like a bitch boy, pseudo-intellectual, well-behaving guy, because I've been banned by the goddamn bagel-eating motherfucking mafia media, bitches. You got it? I don't have to do anything. I don't have to put on a front. I got the goods. I got the fucking beef. In fact, I can come across like a fucking lunatic and I'm still credible. You know why? I got the goods, okay? You see that? It's the dummies out there. Oh, you don't sound credible. Those are the people who lack the ability to analyze something. They're too fucking stupid to actually form conclusions, so they look at superficial things. You know, the same people who go for the Tai Lopez lifestyle, the Lambo lifestyle. You understand what I'm talking about? Those are the same people. They're that fucking stupid. And I want to avoid any contact or exposure with those types of people. Because those are the types of people who don't need to fucking have children. Okay. Final judgment. Mike Stathis produced the most accurate, detailed, comprehensive prediction of the 2008 financial crisis and uniquely paired it with a diverse, profitable, and verifiable range of investment recommendations. He exceeds all others, not just in anticipating the collapse, but in diagnosing its mechanics and prescribing specific, actionable responses. I mean, folks, do you think I didn't know all this before I did the AI analysis? I've known this for years, okay? I haven't read anything from all these clowns. I already know the fucking deal. I know how it works, okay? I know what's out there. I know there's nobody that comes close to me in the fucking world. I know that fact. And if there were a way to prove, you know, that I'm the leading I mean, it's impossible to really prove that I'm the leading analyst. It's impossible. But I can guarantee you I am. And I bet any amount of money on it. It's virtually impossible, I'd say. But anyway, it's just obvious. Folks, I've known all this for years, okay? And I've been going through all this, you know, I mean, I don't even deal with it anymore. That's why I packed up the fucking bags, retired, and got the fuck out long time ago. Waste my fucking life on this bullshit because I know how the system is fucking designed, okay? It's designed to promote scammers and clowns, and they're all related. It's there to fuck the mainstream, right? Main Street's fucked. And you're going to go to the alternative guys. You think they're going to be on your side. They're all fucking you. Ad-based content is fucking everybody, okay? That's the deal. That's all. So you can read this here. I'd like you to consider Burry and Eisman did not make their views public until after their bets paid. You can just read all this. Okay. You can read this entry as well. Okay, so another table here. You can just read that. Folks, why do you think I backed my shit a long time ago? Because I fucking know. Remember, I'm the guy that puts in books specific strategies telling people to short these stocks. Nobody in the world has ever done that. When I come out like a bold motherfucker like that, it's pretty much a done deal. Okay? I'm pretty fucking confident. And I understand what's going on. I understand my limitations. I'm not going to do something like that unless I'm damn fucking certain. Even people who think that they're damn certain are never going to do that because they're not that certain. Okay? Any people who might have an analysis where they're certain something to short something, they're not. This is what I'm saying. People don't. You don't have access to people like me. People on my level are working at major funds. Major. They're not going to waste time dealing with you fucking people, trying to help you fucking people, writing books to try and help you fucking people. They're going to spend their time making loads of money for their funds and making loads of money for themselves through bonuses. And probably even still, there's no one out there working for any funds like me. Because after all, we know already the handful of funds that bet against the subprimes. And they only bet against the subprimes the easy call. The easy call. Right? So, Stathis alone demonstrated macro, institutional, and asset level diagnosis. Courage to publish detailed calls in advance. Not just detailed, specific, unprecedented fucking calls of shorting government-backed fucking companies. Post-crisis guidance that also proved highly profitable. Accuracy across multiple markets, not just mortgage credit. There you go. You can read it here, folks. Mike Stathis provided the most accurate, comprehensive, and publicly documented prediction of the 2008 financial crisis. He did not merely call the housing bubble. He outlined its systemic effects, named the institutions that would fail, recommended a diverse portfolio of short and long positions, and even timed the market motherfucking bottom to the goddamn motherfucking day. Boom, motherfucking times a trillion, boom. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. I've already accomplished that. That's already my career. That's my highlight right there. That's lifetime achievement right there. That book. Okay? The 2 books. See that? His work is superior in depth, breadth, detail, profitability, and public transparency, and deserves historical recognition beyond what he has received. I mean, you've got people who are live streamers who have Wikipedia entries on them. Nothing on me. Somebody had one on me several years ago, but I was being defamed. There were people putting all time because they didn't like that I was bashing the gold pumpers and exposing the fraud and the mafia. And then eventually it was removed because they said I don't have any noteworthy. I'm not in the media. Think about this, folks. Think about this. You all understand you're living in a world filled with fraud and deceit and lies, and there ain't nobody out there telling you the truth. You think there are. You think there's people telling you the truth. They're all profiting from bullshit. It's all a bunch of horseshit that's out there. I'm telling you, that's the way it works. You can't find me a single person that's telling the truth, that's got expertise. They're all gaming the fucking system. Okay? It's all a big... Show me somebody out there that doesn't have money tied into it. Think about it. They all, help us, donate for the cause. For the cause! Right? The Alex Jones thing. The money bombs, the Ron Paul bullshit. Right? This is the problem. People don't understand. They're living in a world of complete disillusionment. Folks, the most simple way to understand it is the mainstream media dichotomy in America. You've got MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, and then you have Fox. So you've got typically the conservatives go to Fox, the conspiracies, all the bullshit, right? And then the liberals go to the other ones. People think that I'm going to listen to Fox because they're playing you. It's a fucking game. It's all bullshit. Just like you've got the alternative guys out there because they don't trust the mainstream media, right? Oh, the anti-vaxxers, the Joe Rogan people, the Alex Jones people, you understand. You're not getting the truth about anything. It's all a big shit show designed to deceive you to make money. That's what's going on out there. There's nobody out there in the world today. That's why people don't know what the fuck's going on. You have to be in my shoes to know what's going on. As someone who is a high-level, experienced analyst. Or you're not going to know you're going to think you know, because you're getting your ideas from the internet, from Google, from talking heads who have agendas. Ask yourself the question, how are they qualified to be talking about these things. And if they're really qualified, what are they doing spending all their time on ScamTube or in the media? I'm telling you, there's no... folks, you're getting... This is why it's like, I don't even pay attention to anything out there. It's just bullshit. It's all a bunch of manipulative bullshit. Don't pay attention. I come across stuff, incidentally, when I'm looking for other things. I don't think that many people really understand what's going on out in the world. And honestly, if you understood, you would just stay away from all forms of media, internet, and you would live your life, because it's all a waste of time and it's bullshit. You're talking about, I'm not going to say it's all bullshit, because you're getting little bits and pieces of facts, but virtually nobody out there can know when there's fact from fiction. And I'm just telling you guys, you don't know. I mean, name the topic. Name the topic. Right? You're getting just horseshit in just about every single area out there. It's all a big fucking scam. Ad-based content. Advertisement-based content. That's all it's about. Making money off you, the fucking sucker, that they've conned to believe they're bullshit. Yeah, so this is pretty good. They made a timeline here. So it's just more. So there's a rating here. I'm going to go through it eventually when I get time to challenge, because I don't think. I mean, these guys they're not in my fucking league. They're not in my. There's no. They're not in the same universe. It's not even close. I mean, to give me a score of 30 out of 30, and Burry, who's the second, 21, is a joke. If I'm 30, Michael Burry is maybe 4 or 5 at best. And all the others are much lower. If you understand what he did and what I did. You see? So I will eventually go through and challenge all. So I'm saying you can't get stuck on the details too much, because then you're going to get nowhere. You're not going to get a complete analysis. It's going to be, and this one document, by the way, let me show you here what I was going over before the stream stopped. Is it this one? No, it's this one. Yeah, this document where I went to the back to the end to get the links. This is a Grok analysis. Do you see how many pages this is? This is 123 fucking pages. Okay? Okay? So it can go on and on and on. You see? Because you have to continuously input and challenge what's going on, because that's why I say, if you're using AI without knowing what's going on, you're a fucking idiot. That's what they want. That's how they're going to manipulate you. You have to be very, very knowledgeable in the area for which you're actually using AI. You have to do that, because they're going to come out and make statements and claims based upon what they see online. And a lot of that's just complete bullshit and inaccurate, as I've shown you in my particular case, right? I mean, these are unique to me. All this is unique to me. Another table here. Take a look. Mike Stathis ranks number 1 for his detailed, early, and comprehensive prediction of the 2008 financial crisis, and his rare combination of accuracy and investment insight and public transparency. He outperformed all other forecasters in scope, precision, and utility to the public. And history should recognize that. History should... How's history going to recognize that when I've been banned? You understand? You see that, folks? Now, take a look. Archive.org, Chapter 10, AFA, excerpts from Chapter 16, Chapter 17, AFA, and Chapter 12, Cashing in on the Real Estate Bubble. You can input those links, okay? Make sure they're PDF links. If they're not, go on archive.org and I guess you got to get the PDF. I think they can only analyze PDFs. I'm not sure. Input those into your analysis and challenge. So I'm saying you have to understand the specificity, the detail that I forecast. Right? If you're not doing that, I mean, once again, this is something of such a high level, such a severe, complex, widespread, devastating historical event, the 2008 financial crisis, that you can't just come out and say, oh, well, there's subprime lending and there's a housing bubble and things are going to collapse. I mean, really? That's it? I mean, you have to give me the fucking goods. Give me the analysis. Give me the data. You understand? If you're not doing that, you didn't predict shit. Okay? You see? That's the reality. That's the fucking reality.